This video is brought to you by All Ball Pro, the ultimate sports rebounder. Be sure to head over to allballpro.com and don't forget to use coupon code SR4U at checkout for 10% off of your order. Hey guys, Josh from soccerreviewsforyou.com, bringing you a video today to talk about the reviewing process that I go through when I am actually doing a performance review on a pair of soccer shoes. I think it's important for you guys to know the criteria that I go through, how I go about testing the shoes, just to give you a better idea as to how I come to my final conclusion when I do kind of say a shoe is good or bad. As far as my website goes, soccerreviewsforyou.com, this is my website for those of you that don't know. You'll see the watermark on screen in pretty much all of my videos. And this is a place where I write fairly lengthy, really in-depth and detailed, full written performance reviews on pretty much all the latest soccer gears from, of course, the major brands as well as most of the smaller ones. And they really do give you a ton of information if you are looking to purchase a pair of soccer shoes. I say this in my videos all the time. If you do want the most information as far as the overall fit, feel, and overall performance of a pair of shoes, the best place to get that is in those full reviews on my website, soccerreviewsforyou.com. For those of you guys that watch me primarily on YouTube, there's nothing wrong with that at all. Just realize that a lot of the opinions that I give and a lot of the information that I give on soccer shoes is kind of summarized on YouTube, whereas on the website it's kind of written in full length and you really will get all the details if you are interested in purchasing a particular product. The first thing that I want to cover, and a question that I get a lot, is why do I not include price in my full written reviews or even in YouTube? And the reason for that is because price is irrelevant when you're talking about the performance of a product. A shoe like the Superfly 3, when it first released, it costed $400 at retail price. And when you compare that to a shoe like the Adidas Copa Mundial that retails at $100, obviously they're very, very different shoes. But do I think that the Superfly is $300 better than the Copa? No. The price does not determine how good a soccer shoe is. There's plenty of good shoes that are really expensive, and there's plenty of bad shoes that are pretty expensive as well. It really just depends on the overall product itself and not the price range that it's at. The price really has more to do with if you're willing to pay that amount of money for that particular product. But I'm not going to say a shoe is bad or not worth the money because it has a high retail price. That's not how I like to go about things. When I write a review, it's very objective, and I try to stay away from price altogether. That's more on your end as far as determining whether or not it's worth it to you. Another question I get a lot is how much time do I put into each of my reviews as far as wearing each pair of soccer shoes? And the answer to that question is it does vary from shoe to shoe. I really try to make sure that I kind of pass the 20-hour mark when I do review a pair of soccer shoes, but the most important thing for me is that I make sure that I become comfortable in each individual pair. If I wear a shoe to the point where I'm not comfortable with it, because each shoe does have its own kind of, not necessarily break-in period, but a point in time or an amount of time that it takes for you to get used to that particular shoe. Some shoes have longer adjustment periods than others, but what I really want to make sure is that the bulk of my wearing that particular shoe is in a period of time where I'm comfortable with wearing that particular shoe. For example, the Adidas Predator LZ was a shoe that when I first put it on, I really wasn't comfortable wearing it. I didn't really like it at all. But once I got 10-15 hours of wear time in it and began to get used to it, I really came to kind of get a better understanding of how the shoe is supposed to feel and what it does actually have to offer. So just realize that when I do write these reviews, I'm pretty well aware of everything about the shoe, and I'm really giving you the most accurate information possible that I feel that I can give. For those of you that have read the reviews on my website, you know there are 7 kind of sections in the review. That is comfort, fit, weight, traction, touch, shooting, protection, and durability. And these are kind of the 7 areas of a soccer shoe that I feel need to be covered and are the most important as far as determining the overall performance value of a particular soccer shoe. Comfort and fit is generally the longest part of my review, and that's because I feel like it's the most important part of any soccer shoe. Not everybody has the luxury of going to the soccer store and trying on all these high-end products, and when you are planning on spending over $100 or even $200 on a pair of soccer shoes, that you're buying online without even trying on, you want to make sure that they fit you properly. And that's why I spend so much time kind of describing how the upper feels, the flexibility of it, the comfort elements in the shoe itself, the overall shape of the shoe, how wide is it through the heel, midfoot, forefoot, and toe box, and of course the sizing. Do you need to go true to size? Do you need to go half a size up, half a size down? And I really go into detail on that in those full reviews. So when I see comments on the YouTube videos asking, what's the sizing like, what's this, not only do I mention it in the video itself, but I do make a lot of effort to kind of put it in these full reviews. So many hours of time go into writing these reviews to give you guys as much detail as possible, and it kind of drives me crazy when you guys just kind of ignore them altogether. So if you really do want the most information as far as getting a shoe that's going to fit you properly, if you don't have the opportunity to try it on, go check out the full reviews, read the whole thing, don't just skim through. Weight is something that I do kind of consider in the full reviews. It's become a big thing in modern soccer shoes, I should say. But to me, it's not the most important thing. And a lot of people are confused when I give my review scores as far as the weight goes, because I'll rate a shoe that is 9 ounces and I'll give it a 9 out of 10. Or I'll give a shoe that's 8 ounces, I'll give it a 9 out of 10. And I'll give a shoe that's 6 ounces and I'll give it that 9 out of 10 score. And the reason that I do that is because I'm not judging a shoe based on its weight. If a shoe weighs 10 ounces, I'm not going to give it a preset score of 6 out of 10. Or if a shoe weighs 5 ounces, I'm not going to give it a preset score of 10 out of 10. I base the weight score on how the shoe feels and the overall construction. If a shoe has a really solid construction and it seems a lot like it would weigh a lot more than it actually does, then I will give it a higher review score. It doesn't necessarily mean that I think that this is an ultra lightweight shoe, so I gave it a really good score. It just means that I feel like the shoe is a lot lighter than I expected it to be, and for a shoe of this variety, it's below the weight range of other options that you have on the market. Next category is traction. This is obviously a very important thing with any soccer shoe. It's one of the main reasons why you wear soccer shoes. You want your shoes to kind of dig into the ground and provide traction when you need it, but there are different types of traction. Again, there's not a whole lot that can give in score. There's good traction patterns, there's bad traction patterns, but it really does depend more on preference rather than the final score at the end. And that's another thing that I want to stress. Just because a shoe has a really high score on my website doesn't mean that it's the best shoe for you or the best shoe on the market. You could see that the score has, it's a 95 out of 100 score, but that doesn't mean that that shoe is actually going to even fit you. All of the kind of information that you're going to get from the shoe is in the forward review. And that's why a lot of you guys have asked me, why don't you put your kind of top 10 list on the website where you put highest score to lowest score? And the reason why I don't do that is because the score at the end of the review is somewhat irrelevant. I give it just to kind of give the shoe a final concluding score, but all of the information that you need is in written form, not in number form. A shoe that's 9 out of 10, like a Mercurial Vapor 9, you might see that 9 out of 10 score and be like, oh, that's the shoe for me. But if you have really wide feet and you didn't read the review, you'd order the shoe and you'd get them in and they wouldn't fit you properly. So that 9 out of 10 kind of becomes irrelevant, if you guys know what I mean. Next category is touch. Touch, obviously very important. There's synthetics, there's leathers, there's thin synthetics, there's padded synthetics, there's all kinds of different things on there. And again, I cover all of the details as to how each individual shoe feels in the forward reviews. Shooting is another one, kind of goes along with touch a little bit. Lots of shoes are featuring control elements and striking elements, rubber elements on the shoe itself that will have small impacts on the overall feel when shooting the ball. And again, I try to cover all of those in that particular category. Protection is another thing. Shoes are getting lighter and lighter, which means they're also getting thinner and thinner, so protection is becoming more and more scarce. And again, I try not to punish shoes overly for based on protection. Obviously, a shoe that is like a synthetic Adizero, for example, doesn't provide much protection at all, but it's not a shoe that I kind of score harshly based on the amount of protection that it provides, mainly because it's a 5-ounce shoe. You don't expect a shoe that weighs that little to provide any kind of protection. It's unrealistic. So that's why I don't hurt shoes in terms of their overall score in the overall protection category. Durability is another very important thing. I talk about a few things in durability, and I have to tell you that very rarely do I come across any kind of durability issues when it comes to soccer shoes. The main reason for that is because I just don't put enough time into a pair of soccer shoes. And a lot of you guys ask for kind of follow-up reviews on some of these shoes, but to be completely honest with you guys, I'll put my 20 plus hours in one particular pair of soccer shoes, and then after that I probably won't wear them again. So there really isn't time to do a follow-up. It'd be very, very time consuming, first of all. And I'm kind of just moving on to the latest and greatest thing that's out there. Because like I said, I'm always in new soccer shoes, not always going back. There are certain pairs that I go back to, but for the most part, it's very difficult for me to kind of judge a shoe based on durability in terms of determining how long I think it's going to last. I think I do a pretty good job of just guessing, but for the most part, it's very, very difficult for me to kind of guess the overall durability of the soccer shoe. Then, of course, I give you my final conclusion that Kind of just sums up the whole review, but like I said, if you want all of the details, to read the whole review, it might seem a little bit long, it might take you 10 minutes to read, but trust me, at the end of that review, you will have all of the information that you need, and hopefully will have a better idea of the shoe that you are interested in purchasing. Also on the review pages, I provide buy it now links with the best prices online, including some exclusive SR4U coupon codes to get you guys some additional discounts if you are interested in ordering a pair. And then, of course, you will also find the high quality images that'll give you a better idea as to how the shoes actually do look in person. But that's pretty much it as far as the reviewing process goes, guys. Let me know if you guys have any other questions as far as the reviewing process, and I will kind of answer your question down below in the comments. If you did enjoy this video, be sure to leave a like on the video. If you do have any other topics for discussion videos like this one, again, leave a comment down below. I'd be very interested to see what you guys are interested in hearing me talk about. Other than that, guys, I hope you enjoyed today's video, and as always, thanks for watching.